The homeless have no right to turn every park and sidewalk into a place for them to squat. We will do it. We will bring back America. Thank you, a homeless-free America. These are the statements of Donald Trump. Do you believe in this? In the context of his new policy sparking much debate, this statement raises the question, for many, is there really a path to a society without homelessness? Or is this just a media strategy to attract attention during a sensitive time? Let's explore the truth behind this shocking statement and find out what is really happening. The American dream is a phrase that many people mention whenever they talk about this country. However, over time, this dream has become distant. Although it is a country with the world's leading economy, the rate of homelessness in the U.S. accounts for more than 18%. This record high number has raised concerns among many people. It's hard to believe that this has been Keith's sleeping place for the past 8 years. This was where I stayed 8 years. I'm going to show you up close where I used to sleep. Many other Americans are also in a similar situation as him. According to statistics from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, there are currently 771,480 people in the U.S. without fixed housing, compared to approximately 650,000 homeless people. Previously recorded, the above assessment has provided an overview of the number of people living in shelters, temporary housing tents, or cars in the U.S. This is considered the highest rate of homelessness since data collection began in 2017. Donald Trump emphasized that the current homelessness situation not only degrades the quality of life in major urban areas, but also affects the sustainable development of the entire nation. Trump believes that America's top priority during his term must be to ensure the rights and safety of hardworking, law-abiding citizens who contribute to the functioning of society. Donald Trump's statement was made in the context of the increasing number of homeless people in American cities. Public areas, from parks to sidewalks, are becoming makeshift shelters for thousands of homeless people. This not only causes hygiene and safety issues, but also puts pressure on the social service system. Trump believes that with decisive solutions and close coordination between the federal government and the states, America can completely reverse the current situation and rebuild a civilized, livable, urban environment. But behind these statements, there is a truth that surprises us all. What will Trump do to address homelessness in the U.S.? According to Trump, the method he applies is relocating the homeless people currently living on the streets. But is this the best way? While the leading causes of homelessness in the U.S. today stem from housing prices, rental costs, and living expenses, what will Trump do to address homelessness in America? My rent is going up $700 per fortnight. I have tried to negotiate. I feel like the rent right now is increasing monthly everywhere. Everybody, I'm talking to the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, stated that half of those with full-time jobs earning up to $33 an hour still cannot afford to rent a one-bedroom apartment. Danielle, 46 years old, lives in a car with her daughter. She has turned the back of the car into a small living area, arranging space for clothes and a desk to working as a part-time office employee. But her salary is not enough to rent a small apartment across America. Many people are in the same situation as Danielle. According to the National Alliance to End Homelessness, nearly 19,000 people experience homelessness for the first time each week, with about half of them being employed. However, the reduction of housing prices or the addition of affordable housing was not mentioned in Trump's statements, which makes many people skeptical about its feasibility. On Fox News, it was reported that rising rental prices are making it difficult for people to keep up with payments, leading to a large number of individuals being forced to leave their homes. Another story of Quania Tweedy is a typical example. She works an online delivery job, working 7 days a week to make a living. However, after losing her management job at a newspaper company and being evicted from her apartment in Georgia, she and her family have been living in their car for the past 4 months. What she once dreamed of, a stable home for her family, has now become a distant reality. Tweedy's story is not unique. The homelessness rate in Knoxville has nearly doubled since 2018, largely due to skyrocketing housing prices. Although she and many others are facing difficult circumstances, they still do not give up hope. Tweety shared that she wants her children to be able to participate in extracurricular activities, play with friends, and have a normal life like any other child her situation. And those of families like hers serve as a reminder that despite working hard, many people still cannot afford a safe and stable home. A real estate attorney in Houston, Ernie Garza, said that since the pandemic occurred, the number of households struggling, to-pay bills and rent has increased significantly. He stated that rising rental prices have pushed a large number of Americans into a housing crisis, making legislative action necessary. Many people believe that the government will intervene very quickly and start ramping up housing support programs. They might implement strict measures such as prohibiting landlords from increasing rent beyond a certain percentage, similar to what we saw during the pandemic. However, whenever the government intervenes in such situations, their results are often not good. It is estimated that in 2021, the U.S. federal government spent over $51 billion on selected housing and homelessness programs. California alone has spent over $32 billion U.S. in the past 5 years on housing programs, including grants for shelters, rent subsidies, and the Project Home Key program, which converts hotels into housing. Although the expenditure is quite large, the homeless population in California continues to increase not only housing prices, but unemployment is also an issue that has increased homelessness in the U.S. But it seems that Trump hasn't mentioned this in his policy since the COVID-19 pandemic. The unemployment rate in the United States has reached the highest level in modern history, with an unemployment rate of 14.8% in April 2020. Notably, this figure mainly falls within the age group of 18 to 24 across the United States. Tens of thousands of young people are unemployed despite having completed college credits or having work experience. Everyone must be trying every day to find a place to stay during the economic downturn. Many young people are also unemployed like him, but he is luckier because he can still return to live with his parents, while others have no choice, as their parents are also heavily affected by the current economy. So where do they go when they don't have a stable place to live? The group of young people will spend most of their time sleeping in cars or temporarily staying somewhere to avoid being criticized for being homeless for too long. They hope this is just a temporary difficult phase. The group of people aged 18 to 24 is also considered new members joining the homeless population in the U.S. until now in most states and cities. In the U.S., people have often focused more on homeless families rather than truly paying attention to identifying the youth, because young people feel uncomfortable staying in shelters meant for older individuals. Roman Tano, 20 years old, is staying at the Youth Care Center, which is also a residence for young people where training programs are offered. In October, the number of beds here increased from 15 to 20. 2 months ago, Tano left his apartment in Dallas. After losing his job, he sold the Toyota and is looking for a job in the Pacific Northwest. Tano rented a room and started with the specialized job of soliciting grants, but then he was left with only $2,000 in his pocket. That was the first time in his life that Tano experienced the taste of sleeping on the street. Then Tano found the youth care shelter on the internet and stayed there for a month. Currently, Tano works for an environmental organization. Tano shared, "During my time at the center, I met many groups of people with diverse professions, and many of them are trying to find a job to escape this situation after I receive my salary. I will live my own way." M. Pop, an expert in gathering information on various programs and employment support, stated young people not only need neat clothes and stable housing, but they truly want a way out for themselves. What they want is the opportunity to develop skills so they can find long-term employment. Trump's plan really catches our attention, as homelessness is one of the most difficult problems for America to solve at this time. But can it achieve success? First of all, to be fair, Trump's approach to the issue of homelessness carries a humanitarian vision. Aimed at helping the most disadvantaged people in society, Trump emphasized that instead of spending large amounts of money to support other countries, the U.S. could easily use a portion of that to care for all homeless veterans in America. Similarly, the money that the United States saves from ending the wave of low-skilled immigration could be used to address the domestic homelessness crisis. Additionally, according to Trump's strategy, he and his administration will coordinate with the states to create large camps on cheap land where the homeless will live and receive services from social workers, treatment specialists, and behavioral health experts. Those who refuse to comply will be detained or sent to facilities for treatment of mental health-related conditions. As for those who are only temporarily facing difficulties, Trump announced that there will be a support plan to help them quickly reintegrate into normal life. He emphasized that this is a difficult task, but he will certainly do his best to accomplish whether Trump's plan will succeed or not. Only time will give us the most accurate answer. However, the reality is that finding solutions to eliminate homelessness is not only a government issue but also a societal one, as it directly relates to their recognition of human rights, dignity, and equality. Do you believe in the prospects of success in Trump's plan to eliminate the homeless? If you find Trump's proposals familiar, it's understandable. In the past 2 years, a version of the Lock Them All Up plan has been implemented in Portland and across the West Coast, which is considered progressive. But the truth is that since then, no plan has succeeded so far due to the potential enormous costs of these systems. When deployed on a large scale, like many fanciful ideas against the homeless, Trump's strategy may have an impact on a few people, but it cannot be scaled up. History shows that this plan only affects less than 5% of the homeless population in the U.S. In fact, to address homelessness, we need to focus on economic and racial justice first, rather than blaming the homeless for their poverty or condition. The American people have endured 30 years of misguided housing policies, which have created the wave of homelessness we are facing today. Some critics, including organizations that advocate for the rights of the poor and homeless, are concerned that concentrating the homeless in separate areas could lead to discrimination rather than helping them integrate into society. Moreover, these camps may struggle to maintain a quality of life without proper management of health, air security, and facilities. In addition, the financial resources needed to address homelessness are substantial, according to a report by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development (HUD). The average cost to provide housing for a homeless person is very high, ranging from €20,000 to $60,000 per year, depending on the scale and implementation method of the program. This means that the construction and maintenance of large camps will require a significant financial source, necessitating coordination between federal, state, and local agencies, as well as support from the private sector and non-governmental organizations. Additionally, it should be noted that the implementation of these policies will face many obstacles. According to our report from the National Housing Policy Institute, the implementation of measures such as relocating the homeless to large camps will require cooperation between local and state governments, as well as nonprofit organizations. This issue can create debates about power and resources, especially when some localities disagree with these policies. There is also a possibility that these measures are merely symbolic and cannot be implemented on a large scale due to a lack of political and financial consensus. It can be seen that addressing homelessness is a complex issue that requires close coordination between the government, social organizations, and the community. Even though the vision of politicians may be very positive, the reality of finances, resources, and social challenges will determine the success of these initiatives. Therefore, a sustainable solution requires delving into the root causes of homelessness, such as the lack of affordable housing, mental health issues, and addiction, rather than just providing temporary measures. Although Mr. Trump's message opens up hopes for America, including a solution to end homelessness. However, in reality, eliminating homelessness is a difficult problem in the U.S. due to the long-standing and significant inequality and wealth gap in this country. Many discussions about how Donald Trump's policies and his family's actions affect the poor and the rich in American society. Under Trump's administration, many policies were implemented that had a significant impact on different income groups, especially in the areas of taxes, welfare, and subsidies. One of Trump's most important policies is tax cuts, especially for large businesses and high-income individuals. Trump's tax cuts and tax reform reduced the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%, which greatly benefited billionaires and those who own large companies. Critics argue that these policies increase the wealth gap, as the poor do not receive commensurate benefits from these measures. Trump's policies also focused on cutting social welfare programs, including budget cuts for food and healthcare assistance programs like Medicaid. These decisions made it difficult for many low-income and poor people to access basic services, increasing inequality. Although tax policies and tax cuts mainly benefit the rich, Trump has claimed that these measures will help boost the economy and create more jobs for workers. However, supporters of Trump's policies also argue that tax cuts for large businesses will lead to economic growth, creating job opportunities for everyone, including low-income individuals. Overall, Trump's policies mainly focus on supporting large businesses and the wealthy through measures such as tax cuts, while efforts to support the poor and low-income groups are given less priority. Therefore, the question of whether the poor are truly being helped remains a highly debated topic, and the answer depends on individual perspectives and policy analyses. As we have seen, the issue of homelessness is not a simple problem, and the solution cannot come from a single decision or a short-term program to solve the problem effectively. There needs to be close coordination between government levels, the community, and nonprofit organizations. Despite the significant challenges and the need for resources, if there is strong commitment and a comprehensive strategy, we can still hope for a future where the issue of homelessness is addressed in a humane and sustainable manner. We look forward to receiving your feedback on the plan and the solutions to address homelessness. What do you think about these initiatives? Is it possible to find a suitable and feasible solution? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. If you find this video useful, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to follow more interesting content and the latest updates. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next videos.